Silicon Valley and big tech, which have both long been averse to the formation of unions among workers, are starting to feel the pressure in 2021 as Google workers continue to build out their alliance, now globally, according to The Verge this morning, and warehouse workers in Amazon's Alabama plant consider unionizing. And don't forget the firing of the 10 Instacart employees that had unionized in Illinois, part of the near 2,000 positions Instacart cut last week. With us now is the head of one of the largest unions in the world, Mark Perrone, president of the United Food and Commercial Workers Union. Mark, thanks so much for joining us this morning. A lot of ground to cover, but I want to start out with Instacart. What's your perspective on that move there?
Well, I think it's kind of interesting that in 2015, the CEO of Instacart said that having employees that they could train and do the work of selectors inside those stores was good for their business model. However, when the pandemic hit and there was more demand for selection, the training wasn't necessary. So they went to an independent contractor format. Those independent contractors don't get any training as it relates to product selection, when they're going into the produce departments or anything like that. They don't have any benefits either. So it's just a matter of profits for Instacart at this point in time. And that's the reason why we think they terminated all the employee-based workers that they had and went to solely independent contractors.
And now I understand that your union has also been involved in organizing workers at Amazon. Amazon obviously in the fore right now during the pandemic. How is that going, and what do you expect to come of that?
Well, the ballots get mailed out on February the 8th by the National Labor Relations Board, and they're going to be counted by March 29th. However, Amazon has moved to try to stop those mail-in ballots. Even though there's a 17% infection rate in Alabama, in that area that these workers are in, we think the safest way is to do the mail-in ballots. And we think that there is a strong effort by Amazon to stop them from organizing. And given the fact that Amazon has seen at least 19,000 infected by COVID, and most of these workers are, in fact, not concerned so much about wages, but are concerned about health and safety issues with COVID and what's been going on. So the campaign's going really well at this point in time. We're pretty excited about it. And we do think that one way or another, the workers are going to get to make a decision. We just hope, quite frankly, that Amazon follows the National Labor Relations Board law and gives them a free and fair, untrammeled election there in Alabama.
Mark, big picture question for you. How has UFCW changed with the times, and what do you see as the biggest challenge for labor in the global economy right now? I mean, it seems a lot of workers want flexibility, don't expect the same kinds of guarantees as in the past. And at least until the pandemic hit, I was still seeing a lot of these inflatable rats and people handing out flyers on the streets of New York, which seems like a throwback that doesn't work the same way anymore.
No, it doesn't. And quite frankly, this union is not running those kind of programs. Clearly, we're trying to have communications with workers about the issues that are most significant to them. And those issues, are health care, given the circumstances that we're under, as well as the challenges that most people have, with their health care and the healthcare system, because many times it does, in fact, bankrupt workers if they have to go to the hospital. The other issue that we try to deal with is health and safety at the job, which we've been at the forefront, at least in this pandemic, both in our meatpacking, food processing facilities, as well as our food retail facilities, where we were out in front over the mask issue, and we've been out in front over vaccinations and getting our workers vaccinated.
Right.
That needs to take place because these are transmission points for the virus.
Yeah.
It would be good for society, and it'd be good for those workers too, as far as making them safe.
part of what I'm getting at, too, though, is that increasingly the workforce, even the workforce that would unionize, is not in a manufacturing location, not in a warehouse. People are working from home, and it seems like it's easier to organize and to get consensus when people are physically together and when there's an individual location to sort of gather around. So have the methods evolved in a way that you're satisfied with?
Okay, so as an example, we have in fact done organizing. In fact, we've done organizing this year, even in the pandemic, by using some of the same tools that people are using to work from home. The challenges have been in some companies that have high-tech capabilities. They've been looking underneath their Facebook pages and other information to sort of thwart that activity. But we still have been successful. We have digital platforms that we operate off of today, and virtual organizing campaigns, which were not available to us probably 5 years ago, that this union has in fact sort of, instituted, incorporated, and made it a part of our day-to-day activity.
I'm curious, as we think about those headlines and everything you're describing right now, if you think that this moment is going to be a tipping point in terms of having more tech workers unionize, both people in Amazon's warehouses and engineers at Google's offices. Is this that moment?
I think that there is this moment in our society where people are starting to question whether or not unfettered capitalism without any sort of concern towards the workers going forward is a fair system. And look, I want to be very clear. I am very much in favor of profits for companies and for those that take risks. Very clear about that. However, I would say that as people do take risks in the market, whether or not it's in the labor market or it's on Wall Street, they should be rewarded for the risks that they take. And I think that has been the challenge during the course of COVID-19. People were forced to take more risks. However, they did not necessarily benefit from the risks that they were having to take. And I think that's the reason why we're starting to see some of these folks more interested in unionization than they may have been in the past.
Well, Mark, this is going to be an interesting topic we're going to continue to follow as you work with your members. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me today.